Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Cosmic_Bones here with a special interview. Thanks to the Indie Game Collective, I was lucky enough, and also thanks to the fine people behind Samurai Gunn 2 to get early access to the game and interview one of them. And I'll let you introduce yourself real quick.
My name's Adam Robezzoli. I'm the producer on Samurai Gunn 2.
It is once again is lovely to meet you, Adam. Thank you for allowing us to talk and have this interview, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun.
So let's start off here. Samurai Gun 2, a sequel, obviously. I have had Samurai Gun. I've had a lot of experience with, as it's a favorite of my friend group. Some people have had great experiences with it. They've had their days turned upside down because of the first one, and now we're at the second one out here in early access. And so I got to ask, like, what's the scope of Samurai Gun 2 gonna be here?
Yeah, so I mean, the first game came out in 2013, so it was a different world. Um, the game was a simpler game from a simpler time, maybe. So Bo Blythe, who's the director on Samurai Gun 2, he made the first game by himself. It was him and Dose One did all the music and sound effects, but Bo made the first game, and that was back in it was like college days for him. Like, he kind of did that when his peers were finishing up college. He was making Samurai Gun, and it. I mean, I loved the game. We were friends back then, and still friends, but also friends back then. um, I mean, it was such a great couch, versus experience, and I think came out the same time around Towerfall and Nidhogg, and I think those three games really defined a lot of, if you were in college that time or you got together at the office and played games with your coworkers or friends, those three games kind of defined that period. And Samurai Gun, the first game, unfortunately, never left Steam. It left Steam. It never left PC. Okay, so it was on Windows and Mac. It never went onto a video game console.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of those things that I think the game would have had a much bigger life had that happened. But Bo went on to be one of the co-creators on Hyper Light Drifter. So when they were planning on doing the console stuff, he actually went and was on the Hyper Light Drifter team for that whole session. And then when Bo and I started working on this game, it was just like, well, now's the time to give Samurai Gun all the love that the first game deserved. The core gameplay of the first game was so incredible. We just didn't want to hold anything back. So obviously the versus is back. The 1v1 v1 v1. So 2 to 4 players going at it is back. But now there's online. So the first game never had online, so you can play with your friends or with random strangers. You can do matchmaking. But then the big additions, there's two really big additions. One is the adventure mode. And this adventure mode actually for a while was going to be its own separate game.
Really?
Yeah, it was our kind of like Samurai Gun, kind of like story campaign game. And at some point we were like, now let's just throw everything together. And we knew it kind of slow. We were going to, trying to get everything all timed up together can be difficult, which is why the game's in early access. So you kind of can't, we're going to all do this together and improving the game as we go along for the next year or so. But so the adventure mode you can play by yourself, but because it's Samurai Gun, we figure you can't just make it single player only. So you can do it cooperative. With up to 4 players online or on your couch. It is like this game. I know from a player standpoint, people have said like, "Oh, this game has so much more," but man, from a development standpoint, it's kind of a nightmare. I mean, making a local multiplayer game that'll work just locally well is hard enough with all the different controllers people can have and how many people can be on a keyboard and how do you make it where for accessibility where people have special kinds of controllers. That is really difficult. But then to say, oh, but we'll also support online and we'll support 1v1 plus we'll support 4 people online. Oh, also we're going to make an adventure mode, single player, cooperative, also online, also local. It's like every possible permutation of this. It's not easy, but it's really cool to see people enjoying it now that we're finally out in early access. So yeah, you asked what the scope was. So we got versus mode, we got adventure mode, and then we have a full graphic novel comic in it. The first chapter is available right now.
So I've had the opportunity to jump into adventure mode myself and play around in it. I got stuck pretty hardcore in one of there's a map that's shaped like a plus, and
that's it, man. That's the level.
that level drives me bonkers. I couldn't beat it, so I went down other paths and got stuck in another way.
Yeah, there's a few different paths you can go. I will say that level you're talking about, we've discovered that's the boss of the game right now. That is absolutely the hardest thing in the game. We actually found a trick. We were watching a streamer play the game, and he was saying, "Okay, so there's this really easy way you can beat this level because if you lay down, bullets go over you."
Oh.
And he said, "Don't worry, this is definitely, this is designed into the game to be a way." And we're thinking, well, we definitely designed it. You could duck under bullets, but it did not occur to us that you could just lay down on that level and the bullets will all fly over you. And that's like the super simple way to beat that level. So there's your hot tip.
Oh my God. I didn't think of that.
That's the best part of game development. I think when players say, "Oh, here with all these pieces, there's all these things that are possible," and then we're thinking, "I never would have considered that," but you kind of rearrange the blocks in a new way.
You love to see it, honestly.
Yeah.
We've already talked about a little bit of it, but it's like, what's all the things that are new to Samurai Gun 2. We got the adventure mode and we got the comics, and the versus mode is back and it's pumped up. But is there going to be even more to add to it, or is this just going to be this is it and it's going to be refined from
So
now on?
we're in early access. Yeah, there's a lot of content to add. So right now we have how many characters do we have? I think we have 6 samurai. Let me pull it up so I don't mess up and say the wrong thing. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 samurai, and we have 2 friends characters. So you can also play as Anna from Anna from Spelunky 2 or Minute from Minute are 2 friends characters you can play as. So that brings us to 8 possible characters right now. But all of the samurai from the first game are coming back. Plus, we have a new clan. So that's 3 more. So there'll be 18 samurai in the full game.
Oh wow.
Yeah, in the first game, every character actually played the same. It was just aesthetic, what they looked like. But now every character is completely new. They have new abilities, new movesets. Some characters can run up walls. Some characters can angle their projectiles. Some characters can have exploding bullets. So every character is completely new. So we're gonna have that full 18 character roster, and then we're gonna just include as many friends characters as we can. So we don't know how many. We're just gonna, we're still talking to our friends who make games about including their characters. And actually, one of the friends characters is from a creator in Japan that we've developed a relationship with over the past couple of years, and it's actually a character from a manga that they made.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it won't just be indie game friends. It's also just other friends we have making other cool things too. Their characters.
I love when games have guest characters. I love it to death. I love indie games. They can nail it. It's like Rivals of Aether has like Ori and Shovel Knight in it, and all these other games have guest characters. I'm gonna be like, okay, so I'm sure you can't tell what guest characters because you got to be as coy as possible. But my wish list for samurais is I'm going to start with the recency bias. I think it would be super dope, and this won't happen, to have the Raven from Death's Door, because I just beat Death's Door. I don't know if you've played that yet.
Yeah. That came out the same day as we came out on early access. It looks really awesome. I haven't played it yet, but it looks great.
Oh, he would fit in just so good. He would fit in so well. I'm a big Supergiant Games fanboy.
Yeah.
In fact, last weekend I got the kid from Bastion tattooed on my arm.
Nice.
So I would love to death to see the kid from Bastion or any Supergiant character make it into Samurai Gun 2. That would be phenomenal to me.
The hard thing for us is even like we made a list of characters we would want to see in, and we're like, oh my gosh, this list is already so huge. And I know it's just going to keep getting longer because we do the same thing. Like every game we play or whatever, like, oh, it'd be. And the hard thing for us is balancing.
Yeah.
I kind of love it when you pull in something where someone goes, I've never even heard of that game, or I've never even heard of that. And I think we have some planned where I think some people will be like, I've never heard of this character, but this character looks wild. And the cool thing then I feel like is our game can be a kind of entry point for them to discover something really cool that they've never heard of, but then also pulling in the heavy hitters hopefully draw some new people to our game who've never heard of it. So the balance there is just being true to stuff. I think for us is where we only want to include stuff that we really love. I mean, making a game is it's so much labor, and so you have to make sure that when you're doing it, you're really enjoying it. As much as possible, because the hard times come. Even when you're making something you love, it's still really hard and can be really even crushing just the amount of labor you're doing. So I think making sure that all of our decisions are like obviously our own characters we like love, and with a lot of care put into like the lore and the backstory and what their abilities are tying into their personalities. But the two characters that we have in now, Anna from Spelunky 2 and Minute, those are just some of our dearest friends that have been so good to us through the years making games together. I mean, I remember I met Derek Yu, who's the creator of Spelunky. I met him in person at I don't know if you remember if you're familiar with the website TigSource.
I'm not.
So it still exists, but it's not as influential as it used to be. It used to be the place to go for indie games back in like 2009. It was where if you were making indie games, you were definitely on their forums. So Bo was back on their forums back in the day. JW, who's one of the creators of Minute and used to be half of Vlambeer with Nuclear Throne, he was on there. Derek Yu from Spelunky, he ran it. And so they would have these game jams called Tig Jams back in 2008, 2009, and I went to one of those. And I met Derek when he was starting to work on the very first Spelunky. So it must have been 2008, 2009. And it's just like over the years, indie games didn't used to make money. This was like back when I got started, no one really made any money doing this. So it was just making cool things and sharing them for free. And you develop those friendships over time where people look out for you and help take care of you. And I think we've had that experience with Derek and JW and with other people. And it's really cool to put their characters in our game is, like acknowledge, that's what we call them, friends characters. Like we really are acknowledging these friendships we've had that kind of got us where we are. So it's really fun.
Yeah, you can tell there's a lot of love put into all the characters. I took over to a friend's house and installed Samurai Gunn 2 on there and had him play it. And every character shines so good in this game. I found myself killing myself most of the time with I'm bad with the name so far, but with the one who shoots a flame that stays.
Oh yeah, that's Otomo. Yeah.
I kill myself but that's also like one of the most powerful characters, I swear. Like the flames get you every time. And the other character that we all got super frustrated with was Minute, because Minute was whoever picked Minute, they would just fuck us up. It is not even like a game anymore. They would get us pretty good throwing that sword around, and then we learned that we can deflect the swords, and you can hit the swords when they're on the ground, and it was just a blast.
Yeah. Oh, so you figured it out. That's the thing. I think Minute, and this is a little different because the first game everyone was on an evil playing ground. So I do think this game has a slightly higher skill floor. It's a little bit harder if you've never played it to play. The first game was so easy, but the payoff is that there's so much more depth, and I think people can really dive way more into this. And yeah, we've noticed that if you're in a group of people who haven't played this, Minute will just destroy until everyone figures out, just deflect the sword right back at him, and it'll kill him.
Yeah. And I will say this, to put it in your mind, just to plant that seed, because I know it's not in there. I played a lot of Rivals of Aether beforehand, and one guest character that everyone always wanted but never got was the car from Rocket League. So could we see the car from Rocket League in Samurai Gunn 2?
I want to see the car if we can get it in full 3D in our 2D pixel game, a full 3D Rocket League car. That'd be amazing.
That'd be so good, dude. Jokes aside, I'm looking forward because I'm a character action kind of guy, and you've all made the different characters now, and it's like, which one's my main? Which one am I gonna play the most? Which one do I just not have a grasp on? And all the characters so far, I love them all.
I'm excited for our new character that we are teasing in the character select right now, Helmsley. Bo's been spending this whole week prototyping him, and I cannot wait for us to release this character because he plays so differently. And I've noticed people in our Discord saying, maybe he'll have a charge shot, because you can see in his character illustration, his gun's like coming out of his arm. He kind of has like this robotic arm, and the gun's coming out of his arm. And so they're saying, maybe a charge of this. And I just think like what we've come up with for his ability is so far beyond what people are expecting. I think it'll raise the bar for what they expect us to drop with new characters, and I can't wait.
Hell yeah, love it, dude. How long has Samurai Gunn 2 been in development for?
Oh my goodness, I think 2018. Yeah, we actually thought this was going to be our quick sequel, and it was And you'll notice we have a trailer. Nintendo released our first trailer with us, and the game looks absolutely completely different. It looks like the first game, and it was gonna use all the art assets from the first game and just add some new abilities. And it was gonna be, oh, we'll get this done in a year. And I think as we started to make it, we're like, you know what, we need to do this justice. We can't just make this a quick sequel with some new abilities and some online. Like, let's rethink everything. And so Nelson Bowles joined our team, who's just an incredible animator and artist, and he redid all of the pixel art and animations, and he pulled together some of his good friends that he's worked with over the years to do a lot of the level pixel art. And I'm so proud of how this game looks. I think the first game, we can't help it as humans. We just love things that are beautiful, and I think the first game had an incredible aesthetic, but there is something of like raw graphics power, and that just draws people in. And the whole time we were developing this, we're like, man, we know this game's not 3D, we know it's not this, but we think it's beautiful. But when we would talk to publishers or talk to platforms, you just could kind of tell you were getting put at the kids' table making a pixel art game.
Oh no.
And I feel like we finally broke through, like with like 6 months left in development, when all the pieces came together with the great illustration, with the incredible silky smooth animation, with Evan, our graphics programmer, doing some really cool like lighting, pixel art lighting stuff that I'd never seen before. I was like, finally, this game has reached another bar graphically. And I mean, that's just the graphics, but I feel like that was through the whole game of from 2018 to here, and still, like, we're just in early access. This game we've said early access should take us probably a year, but maybe more. And I'm feeling now already like we're just gonna keep updating this. It's gonna be at least a year, but I feel like it really shows and will continue to show why it took us so long.
That's awesome. It definitely shows all the improvements and all the differences, especially the art. I love the splash screens and the character select, and the comic is so well done too. It's this whole game went from popping in one way to just popping in like an entirely different direction without like losing the pop from the first game, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah, and I should mention too, the comic is all by Valentin Sesh, who is just this incredible French comic creator and illustrator. He did all the character illustrations. He's doing the comic. He did the initial illustrations for our menu screen, and he's just so incredible. And he reached out to us. Well, him and Bill kind of hit it off years ago, before the sequel was even planned. And Valentin said, I would love to do a comic based on Samurai Gunn. And for us, that was just a dream come true. There wasn't even a sequel planned, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, that's incredible. So we teamed up with Piao Studio, who's a comic publisher that works with Valentin, and we started working. He's been working on this comic for at least 4 years, maybe 5 years.
Damn.
And when we decided, wait, we're going to do a sequel, we're like, we have to put this comic in the sequel. It's like so many years of work. The full comic's going to be like 200 pages by the time it's done. And we're just going to keep releasing those chapters in early access. The second chapter is practically finished, and the story's all done, but a lot of it's still in, various states of polish. So it does just feel like, I mean, he's our favorite comic artist who's like poured his heart into this thing for half a decade. And we just feel so fortunate to have this team. And I think early access will be a chance for everyone to kind of get on board and appreciate kind of what we've been appreciating on the developing side. And it's like I just want everyone to see all the cool stuff my friends have been making,
Yeah, man. We mentioned earlier, and this is just this little fun little, I guess, what if. Could you see Samurai Gunn 3, if there ever was one, making like the jump to 3D, sort of like Risk of Rain 1 to 2 did?
Yeah, I think if we did a 3, it probably would. But I don't know. It's one of those things now where like we would joke about Samurai Gunn 3 in development. This has been such a long process. I don't know if there ever would be a Samurai Gunn 3. I think it's more likely that this game will just be updated for a long, long time. I think I could see us, once we release 1.0 and we launch on Switch and any other consoles, if we end up doing other console ports, I could see this thing just getting updates with new characters and new levels for years. Because that's the fun stuff. Adding new characters and new levels, like that's the stuff that you do all the other work so that you can make some fun levels and characters. So after having gone through the like just backbreaking, soul crushing. Like all the dead ends, all the things you have to reprogram, moving from engine to different engine, figuring out a way to get to the finish line where, nobody's starving. At that point, it's like, well, if I can just keep making characters and levels, maybe I'll just do that. Like I think the Shovel Knight, model is a really good model if you can make it work, and I could see us just trying to go with that. Just keep updating your game,
Yeah, I look forward to it, man. I super look forward to how much. I mean, you're speaking all the love, and I can't wait to see it just all come to fruition for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
That being said, we've already kind of glanced over it a little bit that it's a grueling process, a laboring process. What are some of the issues you guys have faced when making Samurai Gunn 2?
Oh my goodness, so many. Well, I'll share one thing. This was something that was really hard. So the first game was made in Game Maker, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then that's what they made. The Hyper Light Drifter team that Bo was a part of, they made Hyper Light Drifter in Game Maker, and then Bo made his next game. He's made tons of like small games in Game Maker ever since he was a kid, so he knows it really well. But we brought on Evan, our programmer, who's just really, really talented, who also has a lot of Game Maker experience, and he made his own engine basically.
Wow.
And we were working in that for a long time to make Samurai Gunn 2, and it actually offered us a lot of really good benefits. He was trying some stuff that no one's really ever tried before, and his engine's open source, so it was really cool. We got to kind of help through making Samurai Gunn 2 through it. The open source engine improved a lot. And it was like a really great experience. But what happened eventually when COVID hit and we all got, we weren't in the studio anymore. I mean, there you go. I mean, that's one of the issues making this is like COVID hit right in the middle of it. And it was like a really hard time. It's a hard time for everyone. But in addition to what, most people were going through, I think this project, we weren't in the studio anymore. And a lot of our funding had kind of it had thrown a wrench in that. And Bo just took it upon himself to start making the adventure mode, and he was making it in Game Maker. And so half of our game was in Game Maker, half of our game was in this new engine, and we had to decide, all right, are we moving all of the adventure mode into the new engine, or are we moving all of the improvements from the new engine back into Game Maker? And I don't know if there was a right decision, and I still don't know if we, I think we just had to make a decision and stick to it, and we decided to move all of the new stuff back into Game Maker. Which was, there were some improvements we were getting out of that engine that we kind of lost, but then there were improvements. The speed of making games in Game Maker is really fast. So, but it's hard. It's anytime you have to redo work, it's pretty crushing. Especially when you're redoing work in your apartment and you can't see anybody,
Yeah.
So that was definitely a really difficult time, but we got through it. And we're feeling like we're in a really good place now in early access. I think the thing we're focusing on is making sure that we stay healthy, that we don't overwork ourselves, because we know that this is the long haul to success. This is the marathon. So finding a good schedule for our updates where our the player base is happy and they always have new things to try, but also where we're not we're still seeing our family as much as is appropriate, just having our lives in balance is where we want to be. Because we know if we don't, we know you're not going to get through early access if you're unbalanced with it.
Yeah. Speaking of scheduling, since you're a producer, you know a lot, about that, especially in game dev. I feel like producers are kind of some of the unsung heroes, the real backbone to it all. When it comes to the content that Samurai Gunn 2 is going to get, is there a roadmap that you guys have pushed out or are going to push out at all?
Yeah, so right now we have a little bit of a loose roadmap because we're trying to figure out what our now that we were working really, really hard up to early access launch. Really, we were working too hard, so we know we can't, like I said, we can't stay at that pace. We need to come back to reality. So we're kind of figuring out how much we can get done with our new realistic work schedule. The thing I've been telling our community is, Well, we know what 1.0 is. 1.0 is we have all 18 samurai. We have a bunch of friends characters. Adventure mode is finished with 4 worlds. Right now, the first world's in. So 4 worlds in adventure, and then the finished comic. So that's our 1.0. And then I think along the way, we'll get some new versus modes in as well. All of our bugs fixed. So that's the finished game. That's what we're working towards. And to get there, for us, the most important thing, we're saying our critical updates are new characters and new versus levels, and new adventure mode, definitely. But that kind of just is those are a lot bigger. So we work on those for months, and then they drop every few months a new adventure world. But what we're focusing on is basically Bo, who's the director and in the programmer and designer, he's spending 4 days a week on critical updates and then 1 day a week on additional updates. So for example, this week, 4 days he spent prototyping Helmsley, our new character. And then the last day, today he spent doing all the music updates. So we have tons of new music coming into the game, all made by Dose One. We're really excited about, like right now the adventure mode doesn't have music actually. We launched without any music in adventure mode. So once this goes live, all of that will have music, which I think will make it, if people didn't notice there wasn't music, they'll just think, wow, why is this so much more fun now? And that'll be why. I think, I even like saying I'm so afraid to say, when the first update will drop. But I basically said, when the first update drops, you'll see that's basically probably about how often they will drop. I think our goal is to get to monthly updates where those monthly updates will have, those critical things, so either a new character or new versus levels, and then it's basically all the other work will drop as it gets done. So when a new adventure world drops, it gets done, it'll drop in an update because we have team members working on all those other pieces just constantly, and then Bo's working mostly on characters and then also levels. Awesome. I know it's a little vague, but it's just because we just don't know. We're gonna see how fast we can get it done.
It's it's enough for me. You got to learn to appreciate what you get. With especially in early access, you guys are clearly working hard. You're saying it throughout this whole interview. It's a labor of love, and you guys are churning out, and you got all these friends you want in, and all the love poured into the game. I'm excited for it. You've got me pumped up through this interview.
It's going to be amazing. I think people don't realize what the roster is going to look like with 18 Samurai because there's 6 in now, and people are like, are you going to add any more characters? It's like, we're like not even a third of the way there. If we look at what we want to do, like this game's gonna look a year from now. It's gonna look so different.
Yeah. Are there gonna be any returning friend characters like from like Nuclear Throne or anything like that?
Oh yeah, so we definitely want to. So like I said, JW is one of the people that made Minute, and he also is one of the people that made Nuclear Throne. We love Nuclear Throne. That's one of my favorite video games ever. So I mean, I definitely want characters. I know Bo does. I think it's just a matter of time. Not to like confirm Nuclear Throne because we haven't officially said anything.
Yeah.
And even internally on our team, we haven't said we're definitely doing this. But just my gut is that it's only a matter of time before we get a Nuclear Throne character because we love JW and we love that game. So I can't see that. And it was in the first game. I can't see a world in which this game is done and there's not a Nuclear Throne friend character in there.
Yeah, I suck at it, but I still go back to Nuclear Throne every now and then and just get my ass kicked. But I have a good time doing it.
Yeah, I don't even know what it means to be good at that game because I thought I was good because I could loop like once. And then I just go on YouTube and there's people who are looping 7 times and there's all these bosses I've never seen. And I mean, I probably put 200 plus hours into that game. I eventually just hacked all the save files to give myself all the weapons. I was like, okay, I put enough hours in. I want to see all the weapons in this game.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah.
So we've got 18 Samurai, 3 clans, we got new levels coming, we got adventure mode being beefed up for 4 worlds. Is there any other kind of modes you can tease? Like, is there going to be like teams? Is there going to be like King of the Hill? Is there what's in store?
Yeah, we want to do teams. One of the important things we want to do is 2v2, especially for online, because right now, if you invite friends or invite a party, you can do anything in the game in any mode you want. But if you do the matchmaking is just 1v1 right now, and that was on purpose because we don't want to, when your game's first starting out and your player base isn't that big yet, you don't want to split your online lobbies. You want everyone doing the same thing so they can find matches. But I think as the player base gets larger, I see a lot of promise in the 2v2 tournament scene. I know a lot of people play Samurai Gun as a party game, but that game, but also really this game, there's so much depth, and 1v1 is really, really interesting. So I think like a 1v1 tournament competitive scene, for sure, that's what we're going to be trying to nurture on our community. I'm actually setting up all the tournament channels like as we speak. But I think 2v2 has a lot of promise because these characters have such different abilities. I think finding a friend and picking two characters where you can figure out all kinds of synergies, I think that will just be really interesting for everyone. So yeah, we want to do 2v2 for sure. There's also right now we only have kills mode in. First to 10 kills wins, but the first game had kills and lives, where you have like kind of like stock and Smash where you have 10 lives. We're gonna be putting that in. And then we have like these different modifiers that we teased even at PAX. Like one was a thing that was like a gunpowder flame. So in this game, the lore is that the gunpowder is this weird, it's like a drug. It's kind of this weird mystical substance in the comic that people drink that gives them energy, but if they drink too much, it turns them into these like weird monsters. And in the game, the idea is that this gunpowder is what's firing off your bullets, but also the characters can consume it, and that's what makes them dash. So you get three like ammo when the match starts, and you can use it to shoot 3 bullets or dash 3 times. The idea is that they're eating the gunpowder and it's giving them that boost of speed. So one of the modes we tried out at PAX that eventually will make its way into the game is when you kill someone, they basically drop a gunpowder flame, and then you can go collect it to get an extra ammo. Or if they spawn quickly enough, they can go back and grab it. So it's this idea of it feeds more ammo into the match, gets people shooting more bullets, gets people dashing. It just makes the match more aggressive. So yeah, we have different modifiers and different things we're playing with. I think we'll see a lot of that as the game, continues to the early access.
Oh my god, that mode sounds a lot of fun. I love aggressive play styles personally.
Yeah, see, that's why you like Samurai Gun.
I'm all for a competitive scene in this game, dude. Like 2v2, sign me the hell up. Like I'm ready to go for that. Yeah, to cap it all off here, is there like a year or month you're aiming for the 1.0 release at all?
Yeah, so we said we're planning a year for the early access. We said a year or more, and already seeing the stuff we want to do, I imagine it's going to be a little bit more. But we'll really know once we see that speed of new characters dropping. I still think, I'm probably going to look back on this in a year and go, what was I thinking? Like, why did I think we could finish so quickly? But we just want to keep improving it. So yeah, a year plus. We don't want to make console players wait too long to play. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, dude, I have all the best wishes for you and the team and the game as it continues down the early access path. I know it can be a little hard and scary, but best wishes for you guys, honestly.
Thanks so much. Everyone's been super friendly. Everyone on Discord. As I speak, we have 100% positive reviews on Steam with over 100 reviews. So we feel, I can't believe how positive and how friendly and understanding, even with some of the bugs we've had that are kind of severe bugs, people let us know and we tell them we're working on it and we kind of get some information, and everyone's been the best. It's definitely not what you expect when you think I'm going to build a community of gamers around my game. I think there's some preconceived notions of what people who play video games can be like, but our community has just been amazing. So yeah, I'm like ready to go. I'm like having a lot of fun with us being in early access, and I'm ready to see this thing through.
All right, man. You've got me hyped up. I've said it all through this interview, but you've got me sufficiently hyped up. That about wraps up. You drained all my questions. Thanks for coming on again and talking to me and talking about the game.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
No problem. You guys can find more information on Samurai Gunn 2 on their Twitter. I believe, what is it, at Samurai Gunn with 2 N's?
Yep, Samurai Gunn with 2 N's. Yep.
You can find the game right now on Steam. How much is it going for again?
It is $14.99 US dollars.
$14.99. I recommend to go buy it, even if you're playing alone. You can hop online, do some 1v1s. I've had a fun time with it. My friends are going to have a fun time with it even more. And so yeah, that's it. That'll wrap up this interview. Thank everybody for listening. Thanks once again, Adam, for coming on to. It's not even a show. Just thanks again for coming to the interview. And with that, let's leave it at that. And hopefully, anyone out there listening, you guys have a good rest of your day.